The big alien ship moved slowly toward Earth. Admiral Jake Morrison watched it from his space station window. The ship looked scary with its dark metal and sharp edges. It was built to make people afraid. "Admiral, they want to talk to Earth's leaders," said Lieutenant Amy Foster. She was working at the communication desk. "Should I put them through?" Morrison felt worried. The aliens had visited Earth 3 times before. Each time they asked for more and more. They always came with big ships to scare people. Then they made demands. When humans said no, the aliens made threats. "Yes, connect them to the council room," Morrison said. "Amy, make sure everyone in the galaxy can hear this talk. If they want to threaten us, let everyone listen." Down on Earth, President Lisa Brown sat in a big meeting room. Leaders from all over the world were there. They appeared on screens because some were too far away to come in person. Everyone looked scared and worried. They knew the aliens were angry. A tall alien appeared in the middle of the room. It looked like a lizard walking on 2 legs. Its skin changed colors based on how it felt. Right now, the scales were orange and red, which meant the alien was angry. "People of Earth," the alien said in a cold voice. "I am Commander Vex. I work for the Galactic Empire. We have been patient with your world, but our patience is finished." President Brown sat up straight. "Commander Vex, we have told you before. Earth does not want to join your empire. We do not want to pay your taxes. We want to stay free." The alien's skin turned darker red. "What you want does not matter. The Empire has decided. This solar system now belongs to us. You have exactly 72 hours to surrender. If you do not, we will attack." The room became very quiet. The aliens had never been this direct before. Usually they made threats that were hard to understand. This time they were clear about what they wanted. Senator Pete Richardson spoke up. "What happens if we say no? What does attack mean?" Commander Vex smiled, showing many sharp teeth. "We will take over your planet. We will remove your leaders and put our own people in charge. Your population will be moved to other worlds where we can watch them better. Anyone who fights back will be killed as an example to others." President Brown stood up slowly. Her voice was strong and clear. "Commander Vex, let me understand this correctly. You are threatening to invade our world, remove our governments, and kill anyone who does not obey you. Is that right?" "I am telling you, Empire policy for worlds that do not obey," Vex said. "How you describe it does not matter." "No, Commander. How I describe it matters very much." Brown's voice got louder. She was not just talking to the alien but to everyone listening across the galaxy. "You just threatened 8 billion human beings with slavery or death. You declared war on Earth not because we attacked you, not because we hurt your people, but simply because we said no to your demands." The alien's skin changed to colors that the computers could not understand. But everyone could see from his body that he felt anger and impatience. "What is your answer, President Brown?" Lisa Brown looked around the room at all the world leaders. She saw fear in their eyes, but she also saw something else. She saw determination. Humans had faced terrible dangers before and survived. They had won battles when winning seemed impossible. They did this by working together and never giving up. "Our answer is simple, Commander Vex." Brown's voice reached every corner of the galaxy through the open communication channels. "Earth officially bans the Galactic Empire from our solar system. You are not welcome here. Your ships must stay away from our borders. Your ambassadors must leave. We reject all your trade offers." The alien's skin flickered through many colors before turning completely white. He looked shocked. "You cannot ban the Empire. We are the strongest power in this galaxy." "Watch us," Brown said firmly. "Earth only recognizes governments that people choose for themselves. We did not ask for your protection. We do not want your trade. We do not need your permission to exist. Consider this our official declaration of independence from your Galactic Empire." Commander Vex finally lost his calm. "You will be sorry for this decision, humans. When our war fleets arrive, remember that you brought this destruction on yourselves." "Commander, Brown said as the alien started to disappear from the holographic display. When your fleets arrive, they will learn something about humans that your spies apparently did not tell you. And what is that? Brown's smile was as cold as empty space. We do not know how to give up. The alien vanished from the screen. The room stayed quiet for a long moment. Then Senator Richardson spoke. Well, we have done it now. We just declared war on the most powerful empire in the galaxy. President Brown nodded. Yes, we did. But what choice did we have? They wanted us to become slaves. They wanted to control every part of our lives. Some things are worth fighting for, even if the fight seems impossible to win. General Rick Santos, who had been quiet during the meeting, finally spoke. Madam President, our military forces are strong, but we are talking about fighting an empire that controls thousands of worlds. They have technology that is hundreds of years ahead of ours. How can we possibly win? Brown looked at the general. General Santos, you are thinking about this the wrong way. We are not trying to conquer the empire. We are not trying to invade their worlds or destroy their civilization. We are simply trying to remain free. All we have to do is make them understand that conquering Earth will cost more than they are willing to pay. Admiral Morrison's voice came through the communication system from his space station. Madam President, I am detecting movement at the edge of our solar system. Long-range sensors show multiple large ships approaching. The Empire is not waiting 72 hours. Brown felt her heart beat faster, but her voice stayed calm. Admiral, are you ready? As ready as we can be. Madam President, Earth's defense forces are moving into position. Our new weapon systems are online. Our ships are crewed and armed. If the Empire wants a fight, we will give them one they will never forget. Good. Send a message to all Earth forces. Tell them that today, humanity stands up to tyranny. Tell them that today we show the galaxy that freedom is worth fighting for. Tell them that no matter what happens, Earth will never surrender. Yes, Madam President. Message sent. Brown turned back to the world leaders in the room. My friends, in a few hours, the most powerful military force in the galaxy will try to conquer our world. They expect us to surrender without a fight. They expect us to beg for mercy. They do not understand that humans would rather die free than live as slaves. She paused and looked at each leader. I want you all to know that it has been an honor to serve with you. Whatever happens in the coming battle, history will remember that Earth chose freedom over safety, courage over surrender. The meeting room erupted in applause. Every leader stood up and clapped. They were still scared, but they were also proud. They had just done something that no other world in the galaxy had dared to do. They had told the Galactic Empire to go away and leave them alone. Outside, across Earth and its colonies, people watched the news reports. They learned that their leaders had banned the most powerful empire in the galaxy. Some were terrified. Others were excited. But all of them understood that their lives were about to change forever. The battle for Earth's freedom was about to begin. The next 72 hours felt like the longest days in human history. All across Earth and its space colonies, people prepared for something that seemed impossible: war with the strongest empire in the galaxy. Deep underground in Geneva, General Rick Santos worked with military leaders from every country. The command center was busy with people running around, checking computers and talking on radios. Big screens showed where Earth's defense ships were positioned and how their secret weapons were doing. How are the space platforms? Santos asked, loudly. Colonel Nancy White looked up from her computer. All 12 platforms are ready and armed, sir. The new energy weapons are working perfectly in our tests. What about the moon shipyards? They are working day and night, said Captain Billy Martinez. We are building 47 new ships every 6 hours. They are not pretty ships, but they can fight. Santos nodded seriously. For 5 years, Earth's military had been making weapons designed specifically to fight Imperial technology. They had studied every piece of information they could find about Empire battles. They had built systems that the Empire would not expect from a primitive world like Earth. On the surface, President Brown spoke to the world from the United Nations building. Behind her, flags from every Earth nation flew proudly. It was a symbol of unity that had not been seen for many years. "My fellow humans," she began, "in a few hours, the Galactic Empire will arrive in our solar system with the biggest invasion fleet ever seen. They think we will surrender before they even fire a shot. They think we will beg for mercy and accept whatever they offer us." The crowd in the plaza was completely silent, listening to every word. They do not understand who we are. They do not understand that humans have never accepted defeat. From the great battles of our past to the colonies on Mars, we have always found a way to win against impossible odds. Today will be no different. High above Earth, Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of the EDS Defiance, the main ship of Earth's quickly assembled defense fleet. Through the windows he could see other ships taking their positions. There were proper military ships, but also cargo ships that had been fitted with whatever weapons the engineers could attach. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Amy Foster, "we are detecting huge space distortions at the edge of our system. The Empire is arriving." Morrison felt his stomach tighten with worry, but his voice stayed calm. "How many ships?" "The computer estimates over 3,000 ships, sir. Everything from small fighters to huge battleships." The tactical screen lit up with red dots as the Imperial fleet came out of hyperspace. Morrison had seen big fleets before, but nothing like this. The Empire had brought enough firepower to turn Earth into dust within hours. "Communications. Open a channel to all Earth forces," Morrison ordered. "Channel open, sir. This is Admiral Morrison to all Earth Defense Forces. You have all seen the size of the enemy force facing us. Command will not lie to you. We are outnumbered, at least 20 to 1. But remember this. They have to conquer us. We just have to survive long enough to make them sorry they tried." Across the fleet, human voices responded with determination. Most of these were not professional soldiers. They were volunteers, ordinary people who had taken up weapons to defend their home. But they shared something the Empire had never faced before. They were fighting for the right to stay free. The Imperial fleet began moving toward Earth, staying in the standard battle formation that had conquered 100 worlds. At the front flew the dreadnought Dominion, a ship as big as a small city and armed with enough weapons to destroy continents. On the bridge of the Dominion, Fleet Admiral Kresh looked at the tactical display with satisfaction. The human fleet was positioned exactly as he expected, grouped around their home planet in a defensive formation that would break under concentrated fire. "Send the surrender demand," Kresh ordered. "Tell them they have one final chance to submit before we begin bombardment." The message reached Morrison within minutes. The Imperial terms were exactly what everyone had expected: complete surrender, dismantling of all military forces, and acceptance of Imperial occupation. Morrison deleted the message without reading it all and opened communications to President Brown. "Madam President, the Empire has sent their final surrender demand. What is our response, Admiral?" Morrison looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. They were scared. Only a fool would not be scared facing such odds. But they were also ready to fight. "Our response is the same as it was 3 days ago. Earth is closed to the Galactic Empire. Any Imperial ship that crosses our declared boundary will be fired upon." Brown's voice came clearly across the communication channel. "Understood, Admiral. Earth stands with you." Meanwhile, on planets across the galaxy, people watched the news broadcasts with amazement. Never before had any world dared to ban the Galactic Empire. Most species had surrendered without a fight when the Empire arrived. But humans were different. They were actually preparing to fight back. On the mining world of Kepler 442, worker Ben Hayes watched the news with his fellow miners. "Do you think they can actually win?" he asked. His friend Tom replied, "Win, probably not. But they are showing the rest of us that the Empire can be fought. That is something." Similar conversations were happening on 1,000 worlds. The Empire had ruled through fear for so long that most people had forgotten what resistance looked like. Now they were seeing it, and it was changing how they thought about their own lives. Back in Earth's solar system, the Imperial fleet continued its approach. Fleet Admiral Kresh was confident this would be a quick victory. Humans were known to be stubborn, but stubbornness meant nothing against overwhelming force. "Sir," reported his communications officer, "we are receiving multiple transmissions from across the galaxy. It appears this battle is being broadcast everywhere." Kresh's mood darkened. "Shut down those transmissions. I do not want other worlds watching this." "Sir, the transmissions are not coming from us. The humans are broadcasting from their own systems. We cannot stop them without jamming our own communications." For the first time, Kresh felt a moment of doubt. The humans were not just fighting for their own freedom, they were making sure the whole galaxy could watch. Win or lose, this battle would be remembered. On Earth, families gathered around television screens to watch the approaching fleet. Parents held their children close. Some people prayed. Others cleaned their weapons, ready to fight to the very end. In the command center, General Santos received the final reports. "All forces are in position," he announced. "Earth is as ready as we can make it." President Brown's voice came over the speakers. "General Santos, Admiral Morrison, and all the brave men and women defending our world, history will remember this day. Whatever happens, we have chosen to stand up for freedom. We have chosen to fight rather than surrender. That choice honors every human who has ever lived." The Imperial fleet was now close enough that people on Earth could see it with telescopes. It looked like a cloud of metal death approaching their beautiful blue world. Admiral Morrison stood on his bridge, watching the enemy ships grow larger. "All stations, prepare for battle," he ordered. "Today we show the galaxy what humans are made of." The battle for Earth's freedom was about to begin. The Imperial fleet crossed Earth's declared boundary at 1432 Greenwich Mean Time, and Admiral Morrison gave the order that would change galactic history forever. "All units, weapons free. Engage the enemy." The first surprise came immediately. As the Imperial ships entered what they assumed was effective weapons range, the orbital defense platforms around Earth opened fire with particle beams that shouldn't have existed on a primitive world. The beams lanced out across millions of kilometers, striking the lead Imperial vessels with devastating accuracy. On the bridge of the Dominion, Fleet Admiral Kresh watched 3 of his escort cruisers vanish in brilliant explosions. "How are they hitting us at this range? Their weapons technology should be centuries behind ours." "Unknown, sir," his tactical officer replied, mandibles clicking nervously. "Our intelligence reports indicated their maximum effective range was less than 50,000 kilometers. They're engaging us at over 2 million kilometers." But the real shock came when the human fleet began its attack run. Instead of the expected frontal assault, the Earth ships scattered into small groups, each taking seemingly random vectors away from the planet. "They're running," observed Kresh's communications officer. "The human fleet is breaking formation and fleeing the system." Kresh felt a moment of satisfaction. Perhaps these humans were more intelligent than previous species. Fear was a reasonable response to overwhelming force. That satisfaction lasted exactly 43 seconds. The first group of fleeing human ships suddenly reversed course and came screaming back toward the Imperial fleet at velocities that defied conventional physics. As they approached, they began launching weapons that Kresh's sensors couldn't properly classify. Captain Billy Martinez, commanding the converted cargo vessel Freedom's Price, watched his missile spread approach the Imperial formation. These weren't conventional missiles. They were something new, something the Empire had never encountered before. "Contact in 10 seconds, called his weapons officer, a former cargo handler named Steve Murphy who had learned to operate military systems in the past 3 days. "Detonation sequence is active." The missiles struck the Imperial shields and seemed to have no effect. For a moment, Kresh thought the primitive weapons had simply failed to penetrate his ship's defenses. Then the electromagnetic pulses hit. Across the Imperial fleet, ships began going dark as their electrical systems overloaded. The humans had weaponized something the Empire had forgotten to defend against: simple electromagnetic warfare. Their advanced shields were designed to stop energy beams and kinetic projectiles, not the electronic disruption that Earth's engineers had perfected. "Sir, we're losing primary systems across the fleet," reported Kresh's tactical officer as alarms began blaring throughout the Dominion's bridge. "The humans have somehow disabled our shield generators." But the humans weren't finished. As the Imperial ships struggled to restore their systems, the second wave of Earth's attack began. The orbital platforms that had seemed to retreat were actually repositioning, using Earth's gravity well to slingshot themselves into new firing positions. Admiral Morrison, watching the battle unfold from the bridge of the Defiance, allowed himself a grim smile. Phase 2, all units. Execute the Wellington Protocol. The Wellington Protocol was named after the general who had defeated Napoleon at Waterloo, a tactic of appearing to retreat, then striking when the enemy was overextended and vulnerable. Earth ships had scattered not in panic, but to execute the most complex battle plan in human military history. From 6 different vectors, human ships converged on the disabled Imperial vessels. They came in fast and low, using hit-and-run tactics that the Empire's massive ships couldn't counter. The humans had studied every Imperial battle on record and learned that the Empire's standard doctrine relied on overwhelming firepower from fixed positions. They weren't prepared for an enemy that refused to stand still and fight conventionally. Colonel Nancy White, commanding the orbital platform Righteous Fury, targeted the Imperial dreadnought's main weapon systems. Fire control. I want continuous bombardment on those forward batteries. Don't let them get their primary guns back online. Understood, ma'am. Firing sequence initiated. The particle beams lanced out again, focusing their energy on specific systems rather than trying to destroy the massive ship outright. It was precision surgery with weapons of mass destruction, exactly the kind of innovative thinking that Imperial tacticians had never learned to counter. Fleet Admiral Kresh found himself fighting a battle unlike anything in his experience. The humans weren't trying to engage in conventional ship-to-ship combat. Instead, they were systematically disabling his fleet's ability to coordinate and fight back. Their weapons were designed specifically to counter Imperial technology, and their tactics assumed they would be outnumbered and outgunned. Get me communications with the human fleet, Kresh ordered. I want to speak with their commander. Sir, our communications array was damaged in the first attack. We're operating on emergency frequencies only. Then use those. Admiral Morrison received the communication request as his ship was making another attack run on an Imperial supply vessel. Put him through, he ordered. Fleet Admiral Kresh's image appeared on the Defiance's main screen, his scaled features showing a mixture of anger and something that might have been respect. Human commander, your tactics are unexpected, but you cannot win this battle. My fleet still outnumbers yours significantly. I offer you one final chance to surrender with honor. Morrison looked directly into the alien's eyes. Admiral Kresh, you've made 2 fundamental errors in your planning. First, you assumed we would fight your kind of battle. Second, you assumed we were fighting to win. I don't understand. We're not fighting to defeat your fleet, Admiral. We're fighting to make conquering Earth so expensive that you'll never try it again. Every ship you lose here is a ship that won't be available to threaten other worlds. Every soldier you lose is one less boot on the neck of some other species that just wants to be left alone. Morrison paused, letting that sink in before continuing. But there's something else you should know, Admiral. While we've been fighting, every moment of this battle has been broadcast across the galaxy. Right now, on 1,000 worlds, people are watching humans prove that the Galactic Empire can be fought and hurt. How long do you think it will be before others decide to follow our example? For the first time in his career, Fleet Admiral Kresh felt the cold touch of genuine fear. The Battle of Earth lasted 14 hours and 27 minutes. When it ended, the Galactic Empire had lost over 800 ships and 30,000 soldiers. Earth's losses were heavy but far lower than anyone had hoped. 230 ships destroyed with about 12,000 human military people killed or missing. But the real victory was not measured in ships destroyed or lives lost. It was measured in something far more dangerous to the Empire: hope. 3 weeks after the battle, President Brown stood before the United Earth Assembly to speak not just to humanity, but to the galaxy that was still shocked by the impossible. News that Earth had not only survived an Imperial invasion, but had forced the Empire's fleet to run away. Citizens of Earth, and all who hear this message across the stars, she began, 3 weeks ago, the Galactic Empire declared war on humanity for the crime of refusing to give up our freedom. Today I stand before you on a world that remains free. The assembly hall exploded with applause, but Brown raised her hand for quiet. But this victory does not belong just to Earth. In the past 3 weeks, 17 worlds have declared independence from the Empire. The Vegan colonies have thrown out their imperial governors. The mining worlds of Kepler 442 have formed their own defensive alliance. The tide is turning. In the imperial capital of Nexus Prime, Emperor Valdris looked at the reports from across his domain with growing alarm. The human victory at Earth had done more than cost him ships and soldiers. It had broken the myth of imperial power that had kept 1,000 worlds under control. "Your Majesty," reported his intelligence chief, a nervous creature whose species had been among the Empire's first conquests. "We are receiving reports of uprisings on 43 worlds. The rebellion is spreading faster than we can stop it." Valdris studied the tactical displays showing the locations of the rebellions. They formed a pattern spreading outward from Earth, following major trade and communication routes. The humans had been clever. Their defiance was spreading like a disease through the galaxy's information networks. "What about our response fleets?" Valdris asked. "Delayed, Your Majesty. Many of our sector commanders are asking for more troops before fighting any world that might have received human military advisors. The humans have shared their anti-imperial weapons technology with several rebel worlds. The Emperor's claws came out without him thinking about it. In one battle, the humans had done what no enemy had managed in 3 centuries of imperial expansion. They had made the Empire look weak." Back on Earth, Admiral Morrison walked through the memorial garden that had been built to honor those lost in the battle. Each tree represented a ship destroyed, each flower a life given to defend human freedom. It was a beautiful place, but the weight of command made it hard for him to find peace there. "Admiral," called a familiar voice. He turned to see Amy Foster, now promoted to commander, approaching with a datapad. "The latest intelligence reports from our contacts in Imperial space." Morrison took the pad and read through the information. More worlds declaring independence, Imperial fleets being called back to protect core systems, trade routes disrupted as previously controlled species began demanding their rights. "Amy, do you realize what we have done?" Morrison asked, still looking at the reports. "We defended Earth, sir. No, we did something much more dangerous than that. We proved that the Empire could be beaten. We have given hope to every species that had given up the idea of freedom." Commander Foster nodded slowly. "And that means they will never stop trying to destroy us, does it not?" Morrison looked up at the sky, where the space defense platforms were still being repaired and improved. "That is right. We have made ourselves the symbol of resistance to imperial rule. They cannot allow us to exist because our existence proves their system is not permanent." But despite the grim reality, Morrison felt something he had not experienced in years: genuine pride in humanity's achievement. "But you know what, Amy? I think that is exactly what we should be. If other species need proof that freedom is possible, then we will be that proof. If they need someone to stand up to tyrants, then we will stand up." The datapad chimed with an incoming message. Morrison read it quickly, then smiled. The first real smile Foster had seen from him since before the battle. "What is it, sir?" "Message from the Centauri colonies. They are officially asking to join Earth's defensive alliance. So are the Europa mining stations and the Titan research facilities." Morrison's smile got bigger. "It seems we are not alone anymore." As the months passed, the Earth Defense Alliance grew from a single world's desperate stand to a coalition of free species that stretched across multiple star systems. The Empire found itself fighting not one rebellion, but dozens of independent movements that shared tactics, technology, and most importantly, the knowledge that victory was possible. On the mining world of Kepler 442, Ben Hayes led his fellow workers in their successful revolt against imperial overseers. "Remember what the humans taught us," he told his people as they celebrated their freedom. "We do not have to accept tyranny. We can choose our own path." Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. On agricultural worlds, farmers stopped sending food to imperial storehouses. On manufacturing planets, workers began making weapons instead of luxury goods for imperial nobles. On research stations, scientists shared their discoveries with rebel worlds instead of the Empire. The galaxy was changing. For the first time in centuries, worlds were choosing their own destiny rather than accepting whatever the Empire decided for them. The idea that had started with President Brown's simple declaration, "You are not welcome here," had become a rallying cry for freedom that echoed across the stars. President Brown, now seen as the leader of the Galactic Freedom Movement, addressed the growing alliance from Earth's capital. "My friends across the stars," she said, "when we banned the Galactic Empire from our system, we did not know we were starting a revolution. We simply knew that some things are worth fighting for. Freedom is worth fighting for. The right to choose your own government is worth fighting for. The right to live without fear is worth fighting for." She paused, looking directly into the camera that would carry her words to rebel worlds everywhere. "The Empire wants you to believe that resistance is hopeless, that their power is permanent. But look around you. Look at what we have accomplished. Together, 47 worlds have declared independence. 12 star systems have formed defensive alliances. The Empire's trade routes are disrupted. Their fleets are spread thin, trying to maintain control. We have proven that the Empire is not invincible. We have shown that ordinary people working together can defeat the mightiest military force in the galaxy. But most importantly, we have given each other hope." The broadcast reached billions of people across the galaxy. On worlds still under Imperial control, people watched in secret and began to plan their own revolts. On newly independent worlds, people worked harder to build defenses and prepare for Imperial retaliation. Earth had banned the Galactic Empire, and in doing so, had given the galaxy permission to dream of something better. The Empire would never forgive Earth for teaching the galaxy that freedom was possible, but the galaxy would never forget the lesson that humanity had taught. Sometimes, the only right response to tyranny is to stand up and say, "No," and mean it with everything you have. End of story.